talking about my favorite show, The 100. This is a review for The 100, Season 5, Episode 12, entitled Damocles, Part 1. So, I know I'm pretty late in putting this review out. What can I say? I just simply got distracted by some other things. But this is, my first chance to talk about this episode, so I think I will. I'm going to be pretty brief then. It was okay. That's really all I got. This was another one of those there to be there episodes, a connecting episode. When you have the season-wide storyline, you have these episodes where they connect one episode to the next, and they only kind of move that storyline further at a meandering pace, and they just don't stick out themselves. That was definitely the case with this episode. This one was all about putting people in place for the next episode, the season-wide finale, just moving those chess figures around the board. Not that it was terrible. It was an okay episode. We had a pretty solid opening where Octavia, they're coming to the valley, and they have to go through this cannon. Meanwhile, up on the cliffs above them, you have McCreevy's men, and they've built in these fortified positions. They've got machine guns. They've got the sonic weapons. They're ready to lay waste to anyone who comes through that cannon. Raven leads a little attack against those guys, and they scare them off. So they think Octavia and her people are safe to go through the cannon. But McCreevy knew about this plan, so he set it up this ruse where those guys take off, make it look like it's safe. Other people come in with machine guns and sonic weapons, and then when Octavia and her people are right in the right area of the cannon, they just waylace to them. And the scene just reminded me of that opening scene in Saving Private Ryan, when, at the D-Day, where they're hitting the beaches and the Germans are just wiping everyone out. And so that was a solid opening. And then after that, it's just they're trying to regroup and figure out how they're going to get their people in the valley because everyone took off who didn't get killed, and they got nowhere to go, though. They can't go back to Paulus because they have no food, so they just die out in the wasteland. But they have to figure out a way to attack the valley without getting just mowed down like flies. And, a few other things happen. The serial killer, Vincent, he gets killed off. He's the guy who was obsessed with Abby. He sees that, Kane and her got a thing going, so he tries to kill Kane, stabs him a few times, bites him in the neck. And then Abby comes in, and, he's got that collar, so she just amps that collar up, and it just electrocutes him to death. I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, the character, he wasn't really much of a character. They had him, they introduced him, they said he's a serial killer. We get to see him, brutally kill two guys, but all around, they didn't do too much with him. And the same was the case with the Ethan character, the little boy who his father was trying to get him in the bunker in season 4. He gets in, he gets raised by Jaha for a little bit, and then Jaha dies off. The next time you see him, it's like 6 years later, and he's basically part of Octavia's inner circle. A little later, we see him sparring with Maddie. But aside from that, they didn't do anything with him. I didn't feel a connection. So when he gets cut down in the big massacre, it's like, yeah. And like I said, this episode was just about putting people in place for the next episode. So I really don't have too much on it, and I'm just looking forward to the next episode. Have a few predictions. Well, not really. What I'm really interested in seeing is Inglis 3, the missing ship. They brought it up in this episode again. Is it still out there, or was it destroyed by the prisoners? Because I think they mentioned something about DeSouza talking to the people on that ship. She said, those people weren't scientists, or they weren't soldiers. And I'm like, it sounds like they destroyed that one. But we'll have to see. I really do hope that it's still out there and it can play an important part in, season 6. Maybe, I have a theory that maybe that ship's going to show up and it's going to be like, hey, Earth's fucked. Why don't you come live on this asteroid with us? And that's what season 6 will be about. But we'll have to see.